So while kids in the neighborhood scream bloody murder in the background, and I don't know if that's going to get picked up by the microphone or not, just starting with that, let's talk about the Rangers. Now, the Islanders are kind of a dour picture. The Rangers, not so much, but... So, returning forwards, you got a good bunch. You got Nash, Stepan, Kreider, Zuccarello, JT Miller, Kevin Hayes, Michael Grabner, Pavel Buchnevich, Jimmy Vesey. Restricted free agents, you got Peary, Pumple, Zibanejad, Fast, and Lindbergh. Pumple, I think they're just going to let him go. I don't think they're going to qualify him. I think he'll go as a UFA. Peary, I don't know. Zibanejad, they'll keep him because, they gave up Brassard to get him, so they'll keep him for at least a while longer. They have $9 million in cap space. Their blue line is better than it gets credit for. It's got Stahl, Girardi, McDonough, Klein, Holden, Shea. Kampfer is signed for 2 more years. That, to me, looks like the kind of guy that you sign to go, hey, Vegas, you want to grab this guy? And then Clendenning's a restricted free agent. So, the Rangers showed in round 1 that they can compete and they can play playoff hockey. And Lundqvist, the returning goaltender, again next year, he returned to the playoffs and was victorious this year in the first round. The second round was more of a challenge. And in terms of where they're at, Lundqvist is still one of the best in the game, but it's going to start to be a factor from here. Ronta is one of the best backups in the league. I know I did a video a while back where I talked about 10 goaltenders who could help other teams. And I didn't mention Ronta, which got a lot of flack from Rangers fans or just casual viewers to my channel. I didn't mention Ronta because I can't see the Rangers giving up Ronta. I believe he's the guy who's going to take over for Lundqvist. And I think the Rangers' brain trust knows this, and they have no intention of moving him. So, it'll be interesting to see what they do. Lundqvist has an $8 million contract still, but Ronta only gets paid $1 million, so that's chump change for what Ronta brings him. I expect more of a split next year between the two in terms of 50-35, whether Lundqvist is healthy or not. But it'll be interesting to see what happens, because up front, Rick Nash is a lightning rod. On the blue line, so is Mark Stahl. Girardi definitely has been as well, in terms of what he brings and whether or not he's worth what they pay him. And maybe that's a New York thing. Maybe the Islanders and Rangers are both guilty of having guys on their rosters who are paid too much money. The fact that Nash and Stepan are the 2 highest paid forwards is odd, since Zuccarello's the heart and soul of the team, and JT Miller and Chris Kreider are the future. And Buchnevich and Vesey are potential future. Vesey came in with a lot of hype this year, and I kind of knew he wasn't going to live up to it. But I think he's a good forward, and I think he provides good value. And I think there's potential for him to grow, although, as I said last year when he signed, these guys who come in out of college, they're older than your junior players. What you see is likely what you get. So their upside is lower. They come in, they're more NHL ready, they're more built for NHL games, but in terms of their ability to become stars, if they're not stars now, it's not as likely. But I'll be interested to see what they do. I'll be interested to see if Zibanejad continues to develop. He had a not a banner year this year, but he's capable of having those. I like him a lot. And I can't say enough good things about Brady Shea. I think Shea is the next guy the Rangers are going to overpay. Because it's the Rangers. You overpay guys. That's what you do. It goes back to Bobby Holik, and before that, the Rangers overpay guys. And I'm sure that will continue. The one thing that you got to watch, too, is that Grabner is in, I believe it's the second year of a 2-year deal. Yeah, second year of a 2-year deal. He makes $1.6 million. And they're going to be tempted to re-sign him early, because they'll think they're getting a deal. I know Grabner scored a lot of goals last year. I'm highly suspicious, since it's more goals than he scored in the last, I believe it's 5 years since he had that 30-goal season. I'm highly suspicious of the goals he scored this year. He played well. And in the playoffs, he was, you know, a very key guy for the Rangers in knocking out Montreal. But I have my doubts he can do it 2 seasons in a row. I think he's capable of playing well. I think he's got a lot of moxie. He's got a lot of things that I like in his game. But that goal scoring could be a mirage. And if it is, who picks up the slack? That could be a real problem for the Rangers next year. So, in terms of expansion, I would expect maybe Klein gets picked up in expansion. I can't see Hayes or Stepan or any of them being available, and I can't see Stepan being a guy that Vegas would take. But it'll be interesting to see what happens, because they have $9.2 million in cap space under the $73 million cap, and they haven't decided yet whether or not they're going to bump that up to $77 million. Apparently 76 or $77 million next year, if they bump it up. If they bump it up, it will allow the Rangers to make an improvement. I'm guessing the blue line. And there's a lot of talk about Shattenkirk. You have to move money out before you bring Shattenkirk in, because Shattenkirk's going to want a lot of money and a lot of term. And I honestly think whoever gets Shattenkirk is going to have buyer's remorse. I absolutely think he's overrated. I think he's a good defenseman. I think he's a top 4 guy. He's a good puck mover. But I think the way he's being talked about now, you would think he's the second coming of Nick Lidstrom. And if the thought process is, well, if he goes to this team, he'll turn everything around and that team will be a cup contender, I think that would be foolish. He's a good player, but as shown with Washington this spring, I don't know if he's a core guy. I don't know if he's a guy that you build your team around. I mean, I could be wrong, but we'll see. And then the other problem is, if you add Shattenkirk, you've got Shattenkirk, Shea, Stahl, McDonough, Girardi. I mean, you've got 5 top 4 defensemen right there. So somebody has to go. And odds are it's going to be, I would think Mark Stahl would be the one they'd want to get rid of, but who's taking that contract? Who's taking Girardi's contract? So now you're picking up Shattenkirk, but in order to get him, you're probably trading out young players along with an experienced defenseman who's overpaid, and you're trading out those young players to make sure that somebody will take the bad contract, and the contract you're taking on Shattenkirk could end up being a bad contract too. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. At the draft, they're 21, so the draft likely doesn't help them. But you can let me know what you think. Let me know who you think the Rangers can pick up. Is Shattenkirk the answer? Don't forget to hit like and subscribe either. There's 38% of viewers who are not subscribed. I know who you are. It's the internet. I can follow tubes. So hit like and subscribe. It won't hurt you, I promise. And I'll talk to you all again real soon.